There's a dangerous lie we tell ourselves about goodness. A lie so deeply embedded in our psyche that we've built entire identities around it. Entire lives dedicated to maintaining its fragile facade. You know that person who never says no, who always wears a smile, who seems to float through life on wings of pure intention. The one everyone calls such a good person. Carl Jung would have looked at them with knowing eyes and whispered a truth that cuts through our comfortable illusions. The shadow knows what the light refuses to see. And what it sees is terrifying in its simplicity. The better you think you are, the more dangerous you become. Picture a pristine white canvas. Beautiful, untouched, perfect in its emptiness. This is what happens when we chase goodness while denying our darkness. Jung understood something that most of us spend our lives running from. He saw that within every saint lurks a sinner. Within every helper hides a destroyer. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not the capacity for evil that makes someone dangerous. It's the refusal to acknowledge it exists. The person who has never met their rage is the one who will explode without warning. The individual who has never faced their selfishness is the one who will betray you while believing they're saving you. The soul who has never acknowledged their cruelty is the one who will wound you with surgical precision, all while maintaining their innocence. You see, consciousness is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness includes everything we'd rather pretend doesn't exist within us. Think about the most controlling people you know. Chances are, they'll tell you they're just trying to help. They're not being manipulative. They're being caring. Their shadow wears the mask of virtue. Jung called this phenomenon enantiodromia, the tendency of things to transform into their opposite when taken to extremes. The overly good person becomes unconsciously evil. The perpetually helpful becomes secretly harmful. The endlessly giving becomes covertly taking. Have you ever wondered why some of history's greatest atrocities were committed by people who genuinely believed they were doing good? Why nations have gone to war in the name of peace? Why families have been destroyed in the name of love? The answer lies in the shadow. That part of ourselves we cannot see, will not acknowledge, and refuse to integrate. It's the repository of everything we've decided is not me. And like all rejected aspects of the psyche, it doesn't disappear. It goes underground, where it grows in power and cunning. They identify so completely with their positive qualities that they unconsciously project their negative ones onto others. Suddenly, the world becomes populated with bad people who need to be fixed, saved, or eliminated. This is how helpers become controllers, how saviors become persecutors, how the righteous become the very evil they claim to fight against. They cannot see their own darkness because they've convinced themselves they have none. But there's hope in this darkness. And it begins with a simple act of courage. Looking into the mirror of our own soul and saying hello to the person we'd rather not meet. Jung didn't believe in evil people. He believed in unconscious people. And the most unconscious among us are often those who believe most firmly in their own goodness. The truly dangerous person is not the one who admits to their flaws, their anger, their selfishness, their capacity for harm. The dangerous person is the one who has never acknowledged these aspects exist within them at all. It begins to live our life from the unconscious, making decisions we don't recognize, creating patterns we can't see, causing harm we can't acknowledge. The perfectionist who drives their family to despair, while believing they're helping them excel. The caretaker who creates dependency while thinking they're providing support. These aren't evil people. These are good people who have never learned to dance with their darkness. They're unconscious artists painting masterpieces of dysfunction, while believing they're creating beauty. But what if there were another way? What if instead of trying to eliminate our darkness, we learned to illuminate it? What if instead of banishing our shadow, we invited it to tea? Jung discovered something revolutionary. When we make friends with our shadow, it stops controlling us from the dark. When we acknowledge our capacity for selfishness, we become truly generous. This is the paradox of psychological wholeness. The person who has met their inner demon is less likely to become one. The individual who has faced their potential for evil is more capable of authentic goodness. It's someone who knows their flaws, acknowledges their mistakes, and owns their humanity. The shadow work Jung advocated isn't about becoming a bad person. It's about becoming a real person. It's about trading the exhausting performance of perfection for the liberating authenticity of wholeness. When you recognize your potential for selfishness, you can select generosity. But without acknowledgement, there is no choice. Only unconscious compulsion. The individual who has never been selfish doesn't understand self-care. Shadow work is not about indulging our darkness. It's about illuminating it so thoroughly that it can no longer manipulate us from behind the curtain of consciousness. This is why Jung said that we don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The light we seek isn't found by denying the dark. It's discovered by bringing awareness to every corner of our being. The truly good person, not the good person, but the genuinely good person, is someone who has wrestled with their angels and demons alike. They've looked their shadow in the eye and said, "I see you, I acknowledge you, and I choose something different." They understand that goodness isn't the absence of badness. It's the conscious choice to act with integrity despite having other options. It's not about being incapable of harm. It's about being capable of harm and choosing healing instead. This person doesn't claim moral superiority because they know intimately their capacity for moral failure. They don't judge others harshly because they've seen the worst of themselves. And paradoxically, it's exactly these people who make the world a little brighter, a little safer, a little more whole. Not because they're perfect, but because they're consciously imperfect. Not because they have no darkness, but because they've learned to transform their darkness into light. The harsh truth Jung revealed is that our goodness is only as authentic as our willingness to face our badness. Our light is only as bright as our courage to explore our darkness. But here, as the beautiful truth hidden within the harsh one, when we stop running from our shadow, we stop being unconsciously controlled by it. When we cease pretending we have no darkness, we begin to consciously choose the light. The person who has never met their monster doesn't know their own strength. The soul who has never acknowledged their potential for evil doesn't recognize their capacity for genuine good. This is the invitation Jung extends to us across the decades. Not to become perfect, but to become whole. Not to eliminate our humanity, but to embrace it fully. The path to authentic goodness doesn't run around our darkness. It runs straight through it. And on the other side, we find not perfection, but something far more valuable. The ability to choose light with full knowledge of the darkness we re-choosing against. In a world full of unconscious good people causing unconscious harm, we need more individuals brave enough to face their shadows. We need people who have met their darkness and chosen differently. We need souls who understand that true goodness isn't about having no capacity for evil. It's about having that capacity and consciously choosing otherwise. The mirror Jung holds up to us reflects not the person we pretend to be, but the person we actually are. And in that reflection, we find both our greatest fear and our deepest hope. We are capable of both tremendous evil and extraordinary good. And the choice between them is always, always ours to make. But we can only make that choice consciously if we first acknowledge that we have a choice to make at all. And that acknowledgement begins with saying hello to the person in our shadow we've spent so long pretending does unexist. The harsh truth about good people is that they're often the most unconsciously dangerous. But the beautiful truth is that they're also the most capable of becoming consciously healing. Once they're willing to meet the darkness within themselves with courage, compassion, and unwavering honesty. Your shadow is not your enemy, and it's ready to have a conversation whenever you are. Are you prepared to discover that your greatest strength might be found not in your light, but in your willingness to consciously embrace everything you are? Darkness and light together, shadow and soul, as one integrated, authentic, powerfully whole human being. The journey toward true goodness begins with this single, courageous step into the darkness within. And on that path, Jung promises, we'll find not the monster we feared, but the authentic self we've been seeking all along. If this message touched something deep within you, if you recognize the person hiding in your own shadow, comment, "I choose to meet my shadow." Let's begin this conversation together, one brave soul at a time.